Hello everyone, Linda Israel here today, and I have some Rinea paper foil here in front of me. This is the 10 sheet pack that is 9.8 inches by 5.9 inches in size, and I have the silver gold pack, so that means one side is gold and one side is silver. And I'm going to make a greeting card. That's kind of a guy theme, if you will. I have my Vagabond. Try to get it where you guys can see what's going on. I've already cut one piece of foil, and this is going to fit on a standard A2 greeting card on the front. And I've got an embossing folder. So I've got I always say this wrong, I think. I don't know if it's Darcy or Doris. So it depends on where you're from, how you say it. And it's the diamond plate. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the silver side up, because that reminds me of diamond plate. And for what I'm doing today, I want this to be that look. So I've got that face up. And I'm just going to load this into my die cutting machine, which happens to be the Vagabond. So however you load dies and embossing folders into your machine, do it that way. And I'll do that, and we'll be right back. So here it is coming out of the embossing folder. To keep it from wrinkling when you take it out, if you'll take this and you'll blow just a little bit, it'll lift up off of there, and you don't have to worry about wrinkling your paper. So I've got this part ready, so I'm going to set it aside because I'm going to use that in just a moment. I have another scrap of Rinea foil. This time I'm going to use the gold side up, and I'm loading it into my machine. And I have from Tonic Studios the Chopper Bike die. So here's the die, and that's what it looks like when it's cut. So I'm going to just place it on here. I've cut a few others already as I was playing with this die and wanted to see how it worked. And I'm going to cut this out on my Vagabond, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here it is. I just turned my die over, and I usually drop it, and that allows the die cut to come right out. Don't throw it too hard, and then you can go through and clean out all the little pieces. Sometimes if you just drop it again, they'll all come out. And if they are stubborn, you can take a little pokey tool and just poke out all those extra pieces. Pardon me if I clear my throat or sniffle. We have Bradford pear trees that are blooming here in Oklahoma, and I am highly allergic to them. I think they should be outlawed, personally, but that's just me. Alright, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I have already die cut the same motorcycle. I had a piece of watercolor paper, and I die cut it out of that. So I have two more of these motorcycles, and the reason being that I did this is I wanted this to be raised up on my card today, and I didn't want to use dimensional dots or sticky doos or 3D foam dots, because there's really hard, very small places to put those little dots. And even when you're dealing with those tiny ones, they're a pain. So I thought this will just be easier. So I've cut this twice. What I'm going to do is glue these two together. I use my Zig 2-way glue, and I'll just go over the whole thing and add a little bit of glue, and then layer one on top of the other. Make sure you have all the little pieces out. So then I'm just going to take the other one that I cut and lay it on top and line it all up. And now I have the motorcycle in foil, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add glue to the cardstock or watercolor paper. So that'll make that sticky. And then I'll line up my motorcycle in the foil. And again, I was just doing this so that it would be raised up off my card. So it has a nice thickness to it now, since there's technically 3 layers there. I'm going to go back to the diamond plate piece, and I have an awl or a pokey tool. You can use a teeny punch if you like, because my goal is to make a hole in all 4 corners. So I'm just going to go around and poke holes. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I've got these little brads. They're little black brads that I thought would be a good addition to put to this card. So I just have these little brads. I have a bunch of these. I've had them over the years. People have given them to me. I bought them when they were on sale. And so I thought, well, this is time for me to use them up. And I'm just going to poke those through, and then I flip it to the back side. See how the gold looks on the back? And then I use my pokey tool, because these are jewels. They are not tools. You're not supposed to use your fingernails to pry things and twist things, because you can break them, and that's rather painful. So I just use my pokey tool to flatten that out, open it up. So now I've got that flat, then I'll do the other 3. All of the brads have been added, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to my standard A2 greeting card. I'm going to use some Thermo-web tape runner. It's in a permanent. I'm using this instead of white glue, because white glue doesn't really stick too great to the Rinea Foil in this application. Of course, now I'm going to have problems with my tape runner. That's usually how it goes, right? It will stick, but it takes a little bit for it to dry. And since I'm doing this as a video, and I want to be able to show you quickly, that's why I'm using the tape runner. So I'm just going to line this up and put it on my card. Now I want a sentiment on my card, so I've got a white piece of paper that was just a scrap left over from another project. And then I have the Happy Birthday from Brutus Monroe. This is the Sharon's Script set. Has lots of great sayings in here. And I've mounted it to an acrylic block. I've got the Brutus Monroe detail ink. I'm just going to ink this up and stamp it onto this white piece of paper. It's a good thing there's 2 sides. When you drop your stamp, ta-da! Now this black piece of paper I want to have behind the white, so I'm going to trim it down just a little bit. I think I want to trim this to about 1 inch. Let's see if that's going to be the look I want. Yep. So I'm just going to make it 1 inch, and it's just a scrap again that I had in my stash. I've mentioned this on my other videos. I'm really trying to use up the bits and pieces that I have in my stash to reduce what I have in my room. So that's what my plan is, to continue to do that. I'm just going to use some white glue to adhere this down to the black piece. Try to get it in the center as best as possible. And I've got my micro tip scissors here that have a really sharp point, call a micro point on there, so it gets in real narrow. So I'm going to go in here and just make a cut almost halfway, but not quite all the way down. so that this will look somewhat like a pennant on the end. I'll do it on the other side. I'm going to mount this on the card, and I want to use some dimensionals. So I have some, these are called Sticky Doos from Paper Studio. So I'm just going to grab some of these off of the backing and place them on here. I'm going to place this in the upper portion of my card, like so. Now, since I'm adhering the paper portion to the foil, this will stick. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this Aleene's glue on the back side. I'm just making a very small dot of glue. And then what I'll do is I'll use my finger to help spread it around just a little bit so that it doesn't ooze out on the front side. Because that's what will happen if you put too much glue on something like this that's got an intricate cut to it. You'll end up with glue oozing out, and, well, that's just not pretty. Kind of like the stuff oozing out of my face. And like that, I have made a really quick greeting card for a guy that's nice and shiny. It's not girly looking. I think it's kind of a neat little card that was easy to make. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this quick tutorial using the Tonic Studios Chopper Bike, the Rinea Foil for the bike in the background with the Darcy diamond plate embossing folder, the Brutus Monroe stamp in ink, and then just cutting that with a pair of scissors. If you have any questions, please comment below. I love answering your questions. If there's a tutorial that you would like me to work on, tell me. I'd love to help you out. Please, if you like this video, like it. Share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I have lots of videos that I share all the time. Thanks so much for watching my video today. You are greatly appreciated. Aspire to be amazing. Bye!